Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer 40,000 Chapter Approved Mission Pack, the Warzone Nephilim Grand Tournament Pack. What is this? Well, this little full color A5 digest style book is the latest competitive play format update for Warhammer 40k. And some big shifts in here. First of all, you're gonna throw out big chunks of your codex. Yes, indeed, fully half of this book is dedicated to secondary objectives. Secondary objectives that completely replace all the secondary objectives in your codex. You don't use them. And that is the first big thing in here. If you're going to a competitive Games Workshop style event, you are probably going to end up using this tournament pack. This is the current season for Strike Force and Incursion games. I still really hope they bring in Incursion games, and it represents kind of a paradigm shift about the core rules of the game, in particular command point generation. Every mission in here has a bespoke command point generation update to the core rules, although it might have been easier just to print it at the beginning of the Grand Tournament pack. Although there are some modified ones on top of that too. And then secondary objective changes. When you choose your secondaries, the secondary objectives that players can select from are found on pages 17 to 53. Players cannot select any secondary objectives from a codex or a codex supplement. That's it. You just get what's in here. If you're playing Successor Chaplains and Legions, then whatever your keyword is for your successor will be the one that you have access to for the additional secondaries. They are broken down as to who can pick them. And then you've also got right here, if you have a Purge the Enemy that's, you know, for your army, then they're listed on the side here. So some pretty big core changes. The other mission, I'm not going to go through all the missions, but the other primary mission thing you'll see in here is the Battleforge CP update. It's in basically all of these. There's 6 missions for each level. They all have the Battleforge CP bonus. Both players gain a CP in either player's command phase. So as opposed to just the player whose command phase it is gaining a CP, in all of these missions, you get a Battleforge CP during the turn for the most part. There are a few modified ones where like you don't get it until like turns 3 or 4 or something like that. But yeah, basically everybody's getting 2 per round, 1 in each turn. So there's more generation now of command points over the course of the game, for the most part, generally speaking. But the Battleforge CP bonus is changed in all of these. And yeah, and 6 missions for each of them. Now, interestingly enough, the missions themselves are kind of like classics updated for the new version. So like Cleanse the Land is kind of like 3rd edition Cleanse. You're deploying in table quarters. You're trying to push into table quarters, but instead of scoring in the quarter, you have to score objectives. So again, standing in circles and pushing buttons. Control 1, Control 2, Control more, and the primary objective cannot be scored in the first battle round. In the 5th battle round, the player who has the second turn does not score any victory points in their command phase. Instead, they can score a maximum of 4 for each objective or condition they can satisfy. So, yeah, you got a lot of like sort of classic style Hammer and Anvil, Desperate Raid, Sacred Ground, Ascension, Surge of Faith. And then the Strike Force ones tend to be upscaled versions of the other ones, right? So when you get to the Strike Force ones, actually there's more than 6, isn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it was just 7 actually. Crazy, 7. I thought there were only 6. Usually it's like a D6 roll to see which one you're playing. So I thought there was only 6 of each, but maybe there's more. Mission style. No, it's just more. I thought there was a table. Incursion missions. Nope, there's no table. Weird. And then Strike Force ones, you can see here they kind of parallel. So you Recover the Relics, which is a Hammer and Anvil style. You got a Battle Lines one, Abandoned Sanctuaries, and then finally a Conversion, which is a table quarter one. It's basically just the same Cleanse the Land, but in a larger format. Scouring, Tide of Conviction, Death and Zeal, and yeah, I think there's 8 of these ones. Secure the Artifacts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 Strike Force missions. Cool, well there you go. So 9 Strike Force missions and 7 Incursion level missions. So let's jump through and look at some of these updates. Now a few of these are kind of updates to existing ones, and then the other ones of course are the primaries. I'm not going to do all of the faction ones. because that would be a very long video. But the core ones, things like Purge the Enemy. You get Assassination. It's an endgame objective. Score 3 VPs at the end of the battle for each enemy character that unit's destroyed. At the end of the battle, if the enemy warlord is destroyed, score an extra victory point. And then Bring It Down, an endgame one, which is at the end of the battle, score points for each enemy monster or vehicle it's destroyed as followed. 1 for 9 or less wounds, 2 for 10 to 14 wounds, 3 for 15 to 19 wounds, and 4 if it's 20 or more wounds. So again, it's end of battle and end of battle. So I like both the end of battle ones for Purge the Enemy because it just means kill the right things. And you can pick one based on your opponent's force. So if there's a lot of monsters and vehicles, bring it down. If there's not, Assassination. Obviously, you still only pick one from each thing. And then faction secondaries, things like Codex Warfare, Black Templars, bathe your blade in the blood of the enemy. There's so many of these things in here, it's crazy. Like half the book is based on these. No Mercy, No Respite, grind them down. Score 3 victory points at the end of the battle round if more enemy units than friendly units were destroyed during this battle round. No prisoners. If you select this objective, keep a kill point tally each time an enemy model is destroyed. Add a number of marks to its tally equal to the wound characteristic of the model destroyed. Into the battle, divide your kill point tally by 10 if the result is the number of victory points you score. So if you kill between 50 and 99, you score additional victory point. If your tally is 100 more, you score 2 additional victory points. So basically, if you kill 100 more points, you'd have 12, right? If you score between 50 and 99, you'd score whatever it is divided by 10 plus 1. And yet again, I didn't notice, but I think you can only pick one faction one. Secondary objective players can think. Each secondary objective belongs to a category. Purge, No Mercy, No Respite, Battlefield Supremacy, Warcraft Shot Operations. Players can't select more than one per category. And note that in Warzone Nephilim games, players can now select up to 3 faction secondary objectives, provided all 3 are from different categories. So you can go back to taking 3 faction ones. You just can't take, because there was a prohibition in the last one where you can only take 1 from your codex, and the rest had to be the core ones. Now you can take them all from your codex if you want. Although it's not your codex, it's what's written in here. So basically bringing it back so you can do all your faction ones, which is good for certain armies where they tie together nicely, like Death Guard. You'll be able to actually do more than one that links together. Your Warpcraft, Abhor the Witch. You cannot select it if your army includes any Psychers. Score 3 VPs at the end of the battle for each Psyker character destroyed, 2 more for each enemy Psyker unit that's destroyed. So Psyker characters are worth 3, other Psyker like units like Grey Knights would be worth 2. Warp Ritual, keep a ritual points tally, add 1 each time you take this psychic action. 1 Psyker in the center of the battlefield within 6 can take it. It's Warp Charge 3, psychic action at the end of the battle, score 3 points for if your ritual points is 1, 7 if it's 2, 12 if it's 3 or more. So you can max it on 12 for that one. Psychic Interrogation, it's a psychic action, Warp Charge 4, 1 character from your army can attempt to perform this, and if it's within 24 of any other enemy characters. In addition, if the result of the psych test is equal to or greater than the leadership characteristic of the enemy character model, that's within 24, then you gain a CP. Battlefield Supremacy, behind enemy lines. Score 2 VPs at the end of your turn if 1 unit from your army, excluding aircraft, is wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. Score 4 VPs at the end of your turn if instead 2 or more units that aren't aircraft are in your opponent's deployment zone. And then engage on all fronts. Score 2 VPs at the end of your turn if you have 1 or more qualifying units, see below, from your army, wholly within 3 different table quarters, and those units are all more than 6 away from any other table quarter. Score 3 victory points instead if you have 1 or more qualifying units from your army wholly within each table quarter, and those units are all more than 6 away from any other table quarter. A qualifying unit is one that has a starting strength of 3 or more, or 1 or more models with the vehicle or monster keywords. So you have to have at least 3 models you can't be a character basically to engage on all fronts, which was kind of cheeky before, so they've changed it slightly. So it's 2 at the end of your turn if you're in 3 quarters, and 3 if you're in all 5. So basically you could get to a maximum of 15 if you did it every turn. Shadow Operations, raise the banners high. 1 or more infantry unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase. Each unit from your army that has starts to perform this action must be within range of a different objective marker you control, and that does not have one of your banners raised. See below. The action is completed at the end of your turn. If completed, that objective marker is said to be have one of your army's banners raised on it. The banner is removed if your opponent controls the objective marker at the start of the command phase. And score VP at the end of each of your command phases, and 1 VP at the end of the battle for each objective marker that has one of your banners raised on it. So basically, once you start, that one's good depending upon the objective count on the table, right? The more objectives, the more banners you can raise. The more neutral ones, probably the better you can score for it too. Because you're trying to get to like, if you want to max, so it's your command phase, so you'll never have it on turn 1. On turn 2, you'd probably score, let's say there's 3 you can control, like grabbing on turn 1. You'd score 3, then 3, then 3, then 3. So you have to have 3 for the entire game to get to 15. Because you gotta get the end of battle bonus ones. And then retrieve Nephilim data. It's a data action. 1 infantry or biker unit from your army that can perform this action at the end of your movement phase if it's wholly within a table quarter that does not have a servo skull retrieved by your army, see below. And it's more than 6 away from any other table quarter. This action is completed at the end of your turn, providing the unit performing it still in the same table quarter. If completed, roll a d6, subtracting 1 if their completed action has the troops battlefield roll. So if the result is equal or less than the number of models currently in it, then it's a servo skull retrieved by your army, and you add 1 to your retrieved data tally. At the end of the battle, score 4 VPs if your retrieved data tally is 2, 8 if it's 3, 12 if it's 4. So pushing the button once gets you nothing, twice gets you 4, and then 3 times is 8, and 4 times is 12. So you max it at 12 for this, and this is the enhanced retrieve Nephilim data. And you're having to roll under your unit size. So again, this was like the cheeky button push one where you'd have these non-interactive scoring modes. I wish they would just get rid of this one, I'll be honest. Like, they keep making it harder because it's so non-interactive and so easy to take. And there's a whole push right now in 40K for null scoring, for basically scoring 45 objective points that your opponent can't do anything about. This is one of them. Now it's maxed at 12, so you can't score 45 off it anymore. You have to do a better one. If it's easy, and I do agree with that as a design philosophy, if it's easy and non-interactive, it should never score you 15. And this one never scores you 15. All right, we'll do a couple forces here. We'll do the Astartes. So Codex Warfare, at the end of the battle, score victory points as follows. It's a purge the enemy. Score 2 victory points to a maximum of 5 for each enemy unit that was destroyed as a result of an attack with a heavier grenade weapon. While you're a Devastator, score 1 to a maximum of 5 for each enemy unit that was destroyed by rapid fire assault. While you're in the Tactical Doctrine, and you have 2 turns to do that one, so that's why they make it score lower. And then score 1 victory point to a maximum of 5 for each enemy unit that was destroyed with a pistol or melee weapon while you're in the Assault Doctrine. So you basically have 1 turn to do that one, so they make it score higher, and 2 turns typically to do each of these ones, which means that you're pushing into a lower scoring. I mean, you can get to 15, but you need to kill 3 things turn 1, basically, in order to get it, with heavier grenade weapons while you're in the Devastator Doctrine. So it's not easy. If you kill 3 things turn 1, and then you have 2 turns to kill 5 things, and then you have 2 turns to kill 5 things. So if there aren't 13 units in your opponent's army, and you're going to table them, then you just don't take this one. Because you need to have 13 units in your opponent's army to score 15 off this. And it's not non-interactive. Shock Tactic, at the end of your turn, score 3 VPs if you control 1 or more objective markers that were controlled by your opponent at the start of the turn. And an Adeptus Astartes unit from your armies within range of that objective marker. So basically, you have to take back an objective every turn to get to 15. So you have to go second turn 1. Again, not great. Because it requires you to not be winning. Because you have to take it back from the opponent. So your opponent can deny you this one. It's fairly non-interactive, but it's hard to get to 15 because you have to take something away every round. And then Oath of the Moment, this one was really popular before. Score a VP if any character, vehicle, or monster unit was destroyed by an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army this battle round. So that's worth 1. Score 1 VP provided that no one fell back or failed a morale check. And then score 1 if an Adeptus Astartes core or character model from your army is wholly within 6 in the middle of the battlefield. That one's still going to be so popular because basically you have the whole battle round to kill 1 thing. So if turn 1 you kill 1 thing, nobody fell back or failed a morale check. And if you're all dead, you don't fail a morale check either. So your opponent has to like work to make you not pass. And you're gonna have more CP, so you can probably do your Insane Courage, like if you need to make sure you get it. And then Oath of Duty, score 1 victory point if you have a character or core unit only within 6 of the battlefield middle. You can control that one too. So I think Oath of the Moment's still gonna be super popular. I wouldn't take Codex Warfare or Shock Tactics if you're trying to get to 15. I'm not going to look at all the secondary, like I get that people are excited about them. I'm going to just kind of show them off because it's just too much. It's 3 for every, I have to go through every Codex's secondaries because they've literally printed them all again. So I'm not doing all of the successor chapters. I'm sorry, I'm just doing the greatest hits here. We're not playing the deep cuts. Although the Ultramarines and White Scars only get 1, which is weird. I'll do armies I play though, so let's jump into Custodes. The Auric Mortalis. If you select this objective during the Resolve pre-battle ability step, select one Primarch or Supreme Commander unit from your opponent's army to be marked for death. If no such unit exists, then select the unit from your opponent's army with the highest point value. If two or more are tied, then you can choose. Unit's points include every one of its weapons, war gear, and upgrades. Score 5 if you kill it. Score 5 if you kill it as a result of a melee attack from a Custodes or Anathema Psychana unit. And score 5 EPs if both the above are true and the unit that you selected to be marked for death was not within your deployment zone when it was destroyed. So kill it anywhere on the table except your deployment zone with one of your units in melee. Yeah, I like that one. That's pretty cool. I mean, against knights, not as good. Against other things, not terrible. No Mercy, No Respite. Might of Terra. At the end of the battle round, score 4 if one or more enemy units were destroyed in this battle round by a Custodes unit from your army and no Custodes units were destroyed. That one's really good too, because you only need to get it 4 times. So if nobody dies and you kill something by a Custodes unit. And then Battlefield Supremacy, Stand Vigil. At the end of the battle round, score 3 if you control more objective markers that are not within either opponent's deployment zone than your opponent does. That one's good too. I think Might of Terra and Stand Vigil are both great. The Auric Mortalis you gotta work for, so I don't know if that's as good as certain other ones that are from the core, but I like that. And Mechanicus and Militarum, again, like, I'm not going through all these. Knights, I like Knights. Yield no ground. You control half or more of the total number of objective markers in the battlefield, and one or more Imperial Knights models from your armies within range of each of those objectives. No enemy units, excluding aircraft, are wholly within your deployment zone. And no Imperial Knight units from your battle army ended that turn closer to your battlefield edge than they were at the start. And no Imperial Knights units from your army fell back that turn. So that's the hard part of that one. You usually fall back and shoot when you get caught in melee. So you're not allowed to fall back. But you can score 3 per round from it if you yield no ground. It's the not falling back one that makes that one hard to go to 15 on. Honor the House. At the end of the battle round, if you have 6 honor points, or if you have more honor than you have at the start of the battle round, score 2. So you go to an addition at the end of the battle, score 3 if your army is virtuous, 2 if your army is honored, and if your army is dishonored, reduce the amount of victory points from this one by 3. So you can go to 15 pretty easily. You have to score it each round though. So you have to grow and honor each round, or go to 6, and then at the end of the game be virtuous. Actually, no, you'd only go to 13. Yeah, because you wouldn't get both, because you wouldn't be honored at that point. Oh no, you're honored unless it stacks. Because it just says in addition at the end of the battle. If you're virtuous, you'd be at 13 then. And then renew the oaths. If you select this objective, Imperial Knights units from your army can attempt the following action. One Knight model from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase if it's within 6 of the center of the battlefield. This action is completed at the end of your turn, provided the unit performing it still within 6 of the center. Each time you complete this action, score 3 if it was completed by a non-Titanic model, 4 if it was Titanic, and score 1 if it was a character. And then roll a d6 on a 4+, gain an honor point. So just stand there and keep praying. It's taking a knee. Imagine the knight like lays down, takes a knee. And then finally, you can get a Purge the Enemy. They have 4 possible objectives. Duel of Honor. If you select this objective during the Resolve pre-battle abilities step of the mission, identify the enemy warlord and the 2 units from your opponent's army that have the highest point value. And if you are tied, your opponent can choose between them. If your opponent's army has 3 or fewer units, then you instead identify all of them to be part of your opponent's army. At the end of the battle, for each identified enemy unit that was destroyed, you score a number of victory points if the unit destroyed during the battle by an Imperial Knight unit from your army. If it was split into several small units during the battle, they have to all be killed. And then you get victory points based on the following. 5 if you kill the warlord with a melee attack. Personal combat, the unit was destroyed by a melee attack by any other Imperial Knight model from your army. Cowardly Cur, the unit was destroyed because it was not in the battlefield at the end of the battle, or was in a transport that didn't show up. And then Inglorious Demise, it was killed by any other means. So if you kill it with your warlord, you get 5 points in melee every time. And at the end of any battle round in which Honor the King or personal combat was achieved, get an honor point. At the end of the battle round, if an enemy warlord is destroyed, you score additional victory point. So like, basically this one, the Purge the Enemy ties really well in with Honor the House, because you're basically trying to grow and honor each round. So you could do Duel and Honor the House together and probably score them in tandem. Grey Knights, again, if you want to have a look and discuss. Traitorous Astartes, and then all their little extras like the Alpha Legion and Black Legion get their own. The Creations of Bile, the Emperor's Children, the Iron Warriors, the Night Lords get their own. The Corsairs, the Word Bearers, and the World Leaders get their own, just individual ones. The Death Guard get 3, and the Thousand Sons get 4. Chaos Knights get 4 as well, which are basically just the dark versions of the other ones. And then the demons also get 3. Azur ones, Drukhari get their own. Harlequins and Tyranids. Again, this is going to change the game massively because the passive scoring is such a big deal now. Cults and Necrons, Orcs, Tau, and then running missions. So there you go. Big changes from Chapter Approved and Warzone Nephilim. Basically, rewriting secondaries every time there's an update to the Grand Tournament thing is like releasing hot patches like crazy because your army composition is going to change to try and accomplish them. You're going to have good ones and bad ones that you like to do, and everyone's going to race for that 45 passively scored, don't have to roll dice to do it. And once again, we'll see if that combination emerges as being popular. So I'm still pumped for incursion missions. I'll be honest, I want to bring incursion back. It's kind of 40k classic. You're playing with like reasonably sized armies with these giant power models. I think the scoring is easier to keep track of, and I'm excited that the secondaries are, again, unlockable basically and complementary. So like for instance, the Knight one with the honor dueling, like complementing the, call it the 3 biggest units. Yeah, more of that. More like create an army with a play style and then reward that play style for being played on the table in a way that scores the passive secondary victory points. I think is a big deal. So we'll see how this lands. Once again, we aren't spiral bound. I just wish bring back the spiral bound, but we do at the end have the tournament organization rules. So how to run a tournament, and then the basic rules for the game. So your scoring sheets and the core rules of the game all in one spot. So if you want to bring this to a mission with your codex, hopefully, maybe the whatever supplements and updates and stuff you need to play with your codex, at least this is lightweight and ready to play. I would like the lay flat. I love the lay flat from the General's Handbook. I'm so happy that it's still there, the GHB, and you can see that review today as well. But here we are with 40k, another mission pack for another season. I'm also excited for the organized play packs that are coming out. And I'd like to run a little incursion level tournament. I think it'd be fun to do a GMG 40k classic where we just play 1,000-point games. We have fun. We play a bunch of different like wacky missions. We pre like advertise the missions, and then we score based on this pack. It'd be fun to do. Maybe do like 1 tournament a quarter. Maybe we could do one of these and one of the AOS ones, and just get a bunch of people together and drink beer at a hall and play some games. Might be fun. You tell me in the comments. So anyway, big thanks to GW for sending along this complimentary review copy, and for you guys for watching. Until next time, I'm Ash. Happy gaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.